think, and then you share it on social media.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and it has a longer lifespan.
Are you ready for the interview?
Oh, no, he'll be back now. No, no.
They are ready. They are ready.
They are ready. GS, we are fine now. They say they are ready for us. They can communicate with him. You will tell us the positions if we are properly.
Does it sound okay?
Yeah, you may start.
We are here at the HRDC Third Summit 2018 at the Emperor's Palace. We have this afternoon Mr. Dennis George, the General Secretary of FEDUSA. Mr. George, we are happy to have you here. The fourth industrial revolution, you are representing employees that will be affected by the automation process. In other words, robot is about to replace people in industry. How big is a threat is the fourth industrial revolution to workers, and how do you think in terms of skills development social partners should get together to avert this?
Yeah. Look, first of all, I think what is very critical is to say that we had three other revolutions over the last 100 years that we could have learned lessons from. The first one was when steam was discovered, and that have translated into a situation where we had steam trains, we had steam boats, and that have really transformed the global economy 100 years ago. Since that, the other industrial revolution that came through was electricity, and then workers had to then change from operating steam trains to operating electric trains. And therefore the issue of skills development played a very critical role. And for us, the issue of lifelong learning is the most effective and critical weapon that we can deploy against the situation of a skills revolution. And moving into the fourth industrial revolution, as the process is now, the process is unfolding, but it gives you two issues. It gives you opportunities, but it also gives you challenges. And like we did in the first industrial revolution, workers must now be ready to be reskilled to take on those jobs that the fourth industrial revolution is offering. I look, for instance, in the motor industry where we assemble cars in South Africa, and we can see how the robot and the man work side by side. It complements each other, it brings out the best of the two. So it's not always so that the robot will replace a human being or a worker, but it is important that the transition from the one technology to the next technology must be a just transition, that we put decent work at the center of our economic policies, and that we make sure that we protect workers and the economy, because remember, a robot doesn't pay taxes. It's only human beings that pay taxes.
Correct. There are people who believe that this is going to victimize your low-level employees, your blue-collar employees. They believe that those that can switch on a computer and so on might be relatively saved from this. How fallacious or correct would be that assumption?
Look, it comes back again to the issue of skills development. We are spending currently now 70 billion rand on skills development per year. That is the money that comes from the skills levy. And therefore it is critically important for workers to now go to the employers through their workplace skills plans to ask for them to be upskilled. I know sometimes it's not easy to work and study at the same time, but that is what the new economy and the new development is calling from us, is to work and to study at the same time, because that will also make it possible for workers to also receive a higher income other than what collective bargaining can produce for a person.
There is a general complaint that fine, outside employment, we have people who have graduated, who are, if you like, suitably qualified, but cannot be absorbed by industry, and as time goes on, they lose the skills become obsolete. Now, some people say because they are not unionized, they are not organized, they are also not students, They are not members of anything except themselves. How do you think social partners could come together to, bring these people up to speed, to get them involved, get them ready for the workplace? Do we think we are doing enough? Because they are becoming a forgotten.
Oh, that's the one. So these two.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. You can.
Yeah,
Read the question again.
No, it's fine. I know the
Or you
question.
can
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Look, the issue of the skills match, in other words, what kind of skills are demanded in the economy and what is the supply side of the skills is something that is very critical. And that is the reason why the sector skills plan fit into the career pathing, where people are going to do kind of courses that where there's demand in the economy for that. But what we've also done together with the Department of Labor and business, together with labor, we have worked together on the public employment service. That is a database from government where the person can put his qualifications and his skills on that database. And when there is a position becoming vacant, because a person might think in the area where I live, there's not a skill, but if you look at the national database, the only thing that we must do to provide support for those particular learners is to give them an allowance if they have to relocate, for instance, from Limpopo, where where the person is living, but the position might be available in Cape Town, in order for that particular worker to relocate to another area where the jobs are available.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Hopefully when we have more time, we will discuss it.
Thank you.
That was Mr. Dennis George, the General Secretary of FEDUSA. Thank you. We are here at the HRDC Summit, the third HRDC Summit at Emperor's Palace. We have with us here Miss Nicola Galumbik from Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator. She is the founder and the board chairperson. Ms. Galumbik, you are doing a good job in preparing unemployed youth to be ready for employment. In other words, you're training for employers. Now, where we want to start is who is Harambee and how do you assist people and where do they find you?
Thank you. So Harambee is a youth employment accelerator. Harambee is constantly finding out what opportunities are available in the economy, not just with employers, also micro-enterprise opportunities and other kinds of opportunities for young people to earn and be productively engaged in the economy. And then based on all those available opportunities, we go out and source young people, engage young people who have the desire to work. They are work seeking, often spending lots of money and time and effort trying to find work and haven't succeeded. They're generally young people who come from poorer households, often grant dependent households, and they're locked out of the economy. And Harambee offers them a range of work seeker support services. One of those is to help the young person understand themselves better and to understand their strengths, their aptitudes, their fit, and also to understand which kinds of opportunities they're more likely to succeed in and which opportunities are available close to where they live. And then Harambee also works very actively with employers and with opportunity holders to encourage and advocate for them to do inclusive hiring, to take on first-time job seekers, to take on young people who haven't got work experience, and to believe that young people, even if they haven't got formal tertiary education, may still have lots of potential and lots of intellectual capability and lots of personal experience that they can bring to a job. even if they haven't got work experience. And so in that way, Harambee is sometimes does training, often does training through other organizations, but really Harambee is a pathway manager for young people. It's helping them pathway themselves. We call it pathway from learning to earning, and to optimize themselves in the economy.
At the moment, do you think people who are already in employment are more susceptible to this emerging monster or typhoon called the Fourth Industrial Revolution than those that are unemployed? People fear that the Fourth Industrial Revolution is going to wipe them out of their posts. Imagine those that do not even have any employment at the moment.
I mean, it's very useful to think about the Fourth Industrial Revolution as affecting different people in different ways. And that's not just because some are insiders already and some are outsiders, and the insiders are fearing now that they're going to lose their jobs, and the outsiders are thinking, maybe I'll never get a job now, there's never going to be more jobs. But actually, it's not such a straight line. I think that what the people that are inside the economy have is strong social networks inside the economy. And so as the opportunities change, you have the ability to shift and move and find your next thing. Whereas if you're locked outside the economy, it's very difficult often to take those first steps and to find those ways in. Having said that, I think that sometimes people who are struggling outside the economy might be very resourceful, actually. They're having to make a plan. And that resourcefulness and almost enterprising character that we're seeing in our younger people now, it's not complacent, it's actually quite enterprising. That actually may serve them well as the Fourth Industrial Revolution plays through the system. Because I think people are going to not be able to depend as much on permanent salaries, on permanent jobs, as they used to. I also think that if we can successfully see our young people, even the ones who have just left school, haven't got formal education beyond school, that doesn't mean that they're not capable individuals, and that doesn't mean that they don't have intellectual capability. It also doesn't mean that they can't acquire digital skills. And there may be many opportunities that the new digital economy might provide to young people that actually sort of in a way create a whole lot of new opportunities that they don't currently have.
Some people like me, when I'm asked why is there a high rate of unemployment, I just say government is not creating jobs. What are actually the main 2-3 main causes of unemployment in this country?
Well, I think the first thing is that by and large governments don't create jobs. Economies create jobs, right? So we need growth in the economy. And I think that we believe firmly that growth needs to be inclusive, but there needs to be growth for the inclusion to happen. So if we're going to create lots of new jobs, we need growth in the economy, and we need diversification and stimulation of new productive activity and new innovation in the economy. So I don't think we must understate that ever. It happens that people who are locked out of the economy, we can create mobility, that we don't have the barriers that keep some people locked out and others benefiting more and more in the economy. So I think that there's different dynamics to unemployment. Some of it is about the structure and nature of the economy. Some of it is about the new growth sectors that we can stimulate and prioritize that will be youth labor absorbing. And then others are actually about local township economies and how they work. And how, at the moment, if I'm a young person and my family is grant dependent, I think either I must wait for the government to give me something, or I must wait for an employer to create a job and for me to somehow find my way to that job. And I think what we're going to need to see, and I think what young people are starting to see, is that actually they have to make their opportunities and their earning opportunities where they live. We need to start thinking, how does retail work? How does food work? How does clothing work in my community? I can't always be going far away with big transport costs to shops far away. How do I do it closer to home? And I think if we could get more of that, sort of local economy going, I think some new innovation can happen for employment as well.
Thank you very much. Before we part, can anybody in the country access your services? Do you have a national footprint, or are you region-based?
Harambee has a national footprint, and any young person can access Harambee services. It costs less than R1 on the Harambee Mobi site to join the Harambee network, and from then on the services are free for candidates. And it is specifically designed to try and unlock all the barriers that young people have. So it should be very easy for any young person anywhere in South Africa to join the Harambee network and get the work seeker support services.
So it's harambee.mobi.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll probably have time in future. I heard you were trying to venture into entrepreneurship as one other avenue, but we'll talk about that in future.
Excellent. Look forward
Thanks
to
a
that.
lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bala.
Is that enough? You got what you needed?
Yeah.